What is going on, y'all? Robert Sykes, KetoSavage.com, coming at you with the Week 32 competition prep vlog update. 32 weeks in. I'm going to make this one a little bit shorter because Week 31 was a very long video. That was the peak week video. That was the Boston, Massachusetts show, the Monster Mash. That was the pro debut, so definitely go check that one out for all the in-depth behind the scenes of that competition. This is in between two shows, so Week 32 that we're in now is in between the Boston show and Worlds. So I'm going to kind of make this one a little bit smaller, like I said, because most of that information is going to be on the tail end and the front end of what we got going on here. So let's dive into the spreadsheet here because we have had some interesting things happen this week. So here we have the spreadsheet. Again, the blue line here represents the competition day in Massachusetts. That was on November 5th. I competed at a weight of 154 pounds that morning, and I did a full-blown walkthrough of all the macros that week, so I'm not going to rehash that. This week, Week 32, on Monday, I woke up at a new all-time low of the peak week, or of the prep, at 151.5 pounds. I am skirting on bantamweight status there, so kind of crazy that I hit that low right after that week of eating significantly more calories. This week, Week 32, is somewhat of a depletion week, kind of like I did prior to the last peak week, in which my calories are now at their lowest level, and I'm only having the one refeed meal. So my intake this week has been 125 grams of fat, 100 grams of protein, 15 grams of total carbs for a total intake of 1,585 calories. Not too much at all. With the one refeed meal, which I actually had yesterday, I'm filming this on Saturday, I had the ketogenic refeed pizza, same as always. That was 310 grams of fat, 160 grams of protein, 20 grams of total carbs, for a total of 3,510 calories. With that averaged in, the average intake for the week is 1,860 on the calories and a 73.3% fat ratio. So 73% of my total calories are coming from dietary fat. When you look at the refeed meal in isolation, that was again 3,500 calories and a 79.5% fat ratio. So definitely a higher fat intake. Again, with these refeed meals, I've been gradually decreasing the protein and increasing the dietary fat. Now, I've kept the cardio constant pretty much. I did an extra 2 minutes this week, but 25 minutes at level 16. On Thursday, I did 27 minutes at level 16. I was just feeling pretty good on Thursday. But I want to really point out my weight because it's been acting interesting. So again, I hit a new low weigh-in this Monday at 151.5 pounds, but then my weight has steadily increased every single day pretty much this week. So Tuesday was 152, Wednesday was 154.3, Thursday 155.4, Friday, the morning of the refeed, 155.1, and then today, at the time of this filming, 156.6 the day after the refeed. I have not manipulated my sodium at all. I've kept that constant at about 11,600, 700 milligrams of sodium. My water has stayed consistent. So I've been kind of scratching my head a little bit as to what could be causing this influx in weight. We flew this time, so I had that as a variable, but I would assume that that would have all flushed out by this point because the flight was on Monday. So I don't really think that's a contributing factor. Again, the sodium stayed consistent, the water has stayed consistent, so that shouldn't be it. I have been a little more stressed this week, just kind of getting back with the business and getting a lot of stuff done for that. So that could be a contributing factor. My sleep's been a little disrupted, so that could be a contributing factor. But honestly, I think it's more so a matter of it just simply being a depletion week and my body, being so low in the calories that it's kind of, for lack of a better word, fighting back, so to speak, and has some acute inflammation as a result of that lower intake. So I am very curious to see how my weight responds next week going into peak week with me having that extra pound of lamb probably every day next week, starting on Monday instead of Tuesday. So I'm very curious to see if that impacts my weight going into peak week for Worlds. So yeah, kind of interesting. However, I'm not really mad about the fluid retention. So it's definitely just fluid retention. I obviously haven't put on body fat in these few days. I'm not increasing my intake. I'm actually decreasing my intake. So it is just water. But the way I look with that water has not been a negative in my mind. I definitely have a fuller look. My muscles are more filled out. I don't have quite the graininess in the skin. Like I don't have as much vascularity or quite the just the dryness, but I have a much fuller look. And depending on the judges, depending on the preferences, one's not necessarily better or worse. So again, I'm not really mad about it, and I honestly feel great this week. The extra fluid in the tissue allows me to get a better muscle contraction. I don't feel depleted, even though this is a depletion week. So I'm not really worried about it. Whether I step on stage with a slightly higher intake as a result of the fluid retention or the drier, grainier look, both looks are great looks in my opinion. So I'm happy with either outcome. I am curious to see, like I said, what happens when I start adding in the extra lamb next week. So I'll be sure and keep you up to date on that. I'm not going to show you the meals because they're the same pretty much, apart from, reducing the nut pods creamer or increasing the butter or something of that nature to hit these new macro goals, which is simply just a drop in protein by 5 grams. So no need to show you that because it's pretty much the same week after week. However, I do want to show you some pictures. So on Tuesday, I woke up at 152 pounds. That is 2 days after the show. We took some pictures then. So that's what we have here. This is the 152-pound look. I'm just going to kind of scroll through some of these. This is before I started retaining the fluid. So this is also kind of with my remnants of the tan from the competition. Right now, it's all kind of rubbing off. But here on Tuesday, it's still somewhat adhered to me. So you can just kind of see a little bit of what this looks like. Very dry at this point, very granular. Still have quite a bit of vascularity. The hamstrings, the glutes, everything's just dialed in. So I feel pretty good to be going into, that was a blurry shot there. But this is just kind of what the look looks like at the 152-pound mark, before that fluid retention has come in. Now, I took pictures today. I'll probably show you all those at some point. But that is what I'm looking like. This is what I'm looking like at the weight of 152 pounds. Another blurry shot there. But again, you can see I don't have quite the fullness, but this is still pretty full, pretty vascular, and just super dry and grainy, and I'm totally happy with this look. That's the main takeaway I want y'all to get from this. If you are truly dialed in and lean, then when you're following a ketogenic competition prep, there's not going to be that big of a flux in fluid. I can be pretty aggressive with my intake of fat and protein, and my weight's not going to change drastically from one day to the next. We're talking, 1, 2, 3, 4 pounds at most. And if you are truly dialed in and lean, then that's not really going to cause you the risk of spilling over and washing out all your definition. Even now with the fuller look at 156.6 pounds, I still have pretty much all this definition. So I'm not really risking anything by keeping things somewhat dialed in, or by keeping things, within that parameter, within that window of a few pounds, whether I'm looking for that fuller look or that drier, crisper look. Now, for the sake of just what's in the pipeline, what's coming, let's go back to the spreadsheet here, and I just kind of want to foreshadow a little bit. So we've got, we're in week 32 now. Week 33 is the peak week for Worlds. So this is the last of the 5 competitions. So super excited about that. I'll do a full-blown peak week video like we always do for the actual week of the show. But then right after that show on Sunday, the Worlds competition, I am heading to Thanksgiving. So the next week is Thanksgiving. I'm going to be tracking all my macros through Thanksgiving. No crazy deviations there. I'm going to allow myself one celebratory meal at a Brazilian steakhouse after the competition on Sunday. So we'll see what that does to my weight. But it's all going to be ketogenic, all obviously going to be in line with my dietary lifestyle. Thanksgiving is that next week. And then I've got another DEXA scheduled for the 30th of November. So it'll be interesting to see what those few days of eating the higher intake is going to do and reflect on the DEXA. I think that it's going to allow my muscle glycogen to fill out even more, so it should result in a favorable DEXA outcome that shows my lean tissue as opposed to the last one in which it was taken during the depletion week and my muscle glycogen was lower. I haven't really shared those results with y'all yet, but I've gotten DEXA scan results back from a couple weeks ago, and then I'm just going to wait and show y'all all the DEXA data once I get it back on November the 30th. So that's what we've got going there from a stat standpoint. I'm also going to try and get updated blood work at the apex of this cut, and then we will start diving into the reverse diet content. But we got one more show to knock out before that happens. So thank y'all for tuning in. Week 32, week 33 is Worlds, which is the grand finale, ladies and gents. That is the Super Bowl of natural bodybuilding. So I am stoked for that. Appreciate y'all tuning in. We'll talk to you next time.